Let's talk about how to customize the string representations of your Python objects. So we have a point class here that is defined within a point module, and we've made a new instance of it, and we're referring to that instance with the variable p. If I type p from the Python REPL, I see point.point object at some memory location. If I print it, I see the same thing. If I convert it to a string explicitly, I see the same thing. It would be nice to see something besides the module name and the class name of this object, maybe the data that's actually stored in this object. If I create a $stir method on this point class, that's $stir $. This will customize what happens when I pass this point object to the built-in stir function. The built-in stir function actually calls the $stir method on the object that we give it. And in fact, if we print something out or otherwise implicitly convert something to a string, it does the same thing. It calls that $stir method. Now, this is not the way to actually make a string representation for your Python objects. And the reason I say that is we're kind of missing something. If I type p from the Python REPL, I still see point.point object at some memory location. And the reason for that is this actually doesn't use the stir built-in function. This uses the repr built-in function. And the repr built-in function relies on the repr method. So if we make a repr method and a stir method for our point class, we've customized what happens when we call stir, what happens when we call repr, and therefore we can debug our code by just typing p, and if we were to print out p, we see $stir is called as well. So we've customized the programmer-readable string representation for our object, which by convention looks like Python code, and the human-readable string representation for our object, which an end user might expect to see. Now, almost all objects in Python only customize one of these. They only customize the programmer-readable string representation. That's $repr. So we can actually just define a $repr method on our objects. It'll customize what programmers see, but it also customizes what happens when we print out our object or explicitly convert it to a string. And the reason this happens is that by default, the $stir method is defined on Python objects. It delegates to the $repr method, and we're customizing the default behavior of that $repr method to make it do something else, to show our class name and the data that's actually stored in this class. So when you define your own classes in Python, always make a $repr method. You want an initializer with $init. You want a $repr method to customize your string representation of your object. If you want an additional human-readable string representation, you might want to customize the stir method, but you at least need to customize the repr method of your Python objects.